Welcome to NYNJPA Weather. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino, and this is your weekend discussion. This is our surface map as of 10 a.m. on Friday, and as you can see, high pressure is currently sitting over New England, and that high pressure system is going to be very important because the high pressure system will keep the rain at bay for the New York City metropolitan area for the Mets season opener at home for Citi Field, which is great news. I mean, who doesn't want to watch baseball, right? Now, we have an area of low pressure developing over the southern plains, and this low pressure system will eventually track towards the St. Lawrence River Valley by Sunday morning. Before that happens, though, we can expect variable cloud cover with periods of rain over the Philadelphia metropolitan area today as one disturbance moves through the region, and then we're going to have a break in the weather pattern, in the rainfall, should I say, for Saturday as this high pressure system flexes its muscle and forces the cold front further to the south. And then finally on Sunday, we're looking at a few scattered showers as this whole frontal system finally moves north and we move into our very nice and very comfortable warm pattern. Let's break down this forecast. This is from the European model guidance from the Penn State Wall, and what we're looking at here is 500 millibars. Now, notice this red line in the Mississippi River Valley cutting up towards the western Great Lakes. That's called a ridge axis. To the east of the ridge axis, generally temperatures are near to slightly below normal. We're under a northwesterly cool flow aloft, and usually that means that you have a better potential for cool conditions. And that's pretty much where we are right now. Notice we have a trough over the Atlantic, not a negative NAO pattern, but still a weak trough. And as a result, we're dealing with some of these showers. And because of this upper level flow coming in from the northwest, the warm front has a hard time moving north because winds are working against it, against the surface warm front at the mid and upper levels. So keep this in mind as we move through the forecast. At the surface on Saturday afternoon, the high pressure system that is over the Atlantic will continue to ridge down the coastal plain, and that means that although clouds will be variable to scattered, there will not be any threat for rainfall on Saturday, which is great news again if you have some outdoor activities. Unfortunately, temperatures will be a bit cool, remaining slightly below normal in the lower to mid 50s. Again, not too terrible of a weekend. Bring a light jacket with you, maybe a sweater, but otherwise not too bad. Now our warm front is, by this point, is basically stuck around the Tennessee River Valley back towards North Carolina. So clearly the warm front has some time to move north, and the reason why again is because of that northwesterly flow at 500 millibars. However, things start to change later on. Here we are on Monday night, and notice where the ridge is. The ridge is off the coast, and that means we're on the warm side of this upper level ridge. Now, on Monday night, a cold front is going to be approaching, and notice that this trough approaching the east coast, it looks rather strong. However, by Monday night into Tuesday morning, the majority of the lifting with this upper level trough will be focused more towards the St. Lawrence River Valley and New England, so the cold front really won't be all that impressive. At 850 millibars, you can see plenty of warm air has worked into the northern mid-Atlantic. In fact, we're at the heart of much of this warm air. Now, for Sunday, let me backtrack a little bit. The ridge is going to be moving right over the northern mid-Atlantic. And when the ridge axis moves over a location, it's usually hard to precipitate because there's a lot of sinking air at the heart of this upper level ridge. However, at the same time, the surface warm front will be moving north. So on Sunday, I'm expecting a few scattered showers in the morning ahead of the ridge axis, but by Sunday afternoon, well really by late Sunday morning, I'm not expecting much in the way of precipitation. Clouds will clear, and really Sunday is going to be a really beautiful day. Temperatures will likely rise into the lower to mid 60s over the Delaware River Valley, and then on Monday, well, Monday is going to be absolutely beautiful. Because the cold front is going to take some time to get to the northern mid-Atlantic, I'm expecting temperatures to skyrocket into the 70s for most locations, And if you're in the Delaware River Valley, which includes much of central and southern New Jersey and the Philadelphia metro, you can expect temperatures ranging anywhere from 80 to 85 degrees. So certainly a nice turn of events. Now, as far as the cold front itself, like I was saying, it's going to be lifting northeast. So the air mass that's going to be moving in behind this cold front is not the one that's sitting over the Great Lakes, but rather the one that's sitting over the Tennessee River Valley. And if you notice, we have this orange line here. It's around 10 degrees Celsius cutting through Tennessee and Kentucky. Well, that isn't all too much different from the air mass that's sitting over the region on Monday. Now, that basically means that instead of temperatures in the 80s, well, probably on Tuesday afternoon will be more in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Again, not bad at all for this time of year and still above normal. But the point I want to make is that the brunt of these cold air masses behind these cold fronts are all being directed into Canada. They're not moving through the northern mid-Atlantic. And that's an important distinction because that limits the threat for severe weather and also limits the potential for a cold front to really change the air mass behind it. So what we're looking at is a slight cool down between Monday and Tuesday afternoon, but really we remain above normal, and by Tuesday afternoon, skies are going to be absolutely beautiful with dry conditions, light winds, and temperatures in the 70s. And at the surface, you can see that this cold front is going to be approaching Monday night into Tuesday. Again, not really much of a major impact as far as precipitation, but watch for a few scattered showers on Tuesday morning, possibly a strong thunderstorm. There's an isolated chance of a severe thunderstorm more around the Philadelphia metropolitan area, but I really wouldn't bank on it all that much because of the timing of this cold front and the lack of support in the upper level pattern. So really what we're looking at is just one cold front, and then after this cold front exits, you see this high pressure system on the edge of the screen here over Kansas, well, and should I say Colorado, well, that high pressure system is going to take control, and when it does, next week is going to be very nice. So I'm going to jump to Friday here at the 500 millibar pattern, and notice first, I want to show in the Atlantic, we have a positive NAO pattern. Notice there's no upper level low to the east of the Canadian Maritimes. Instead, we have a weak upper level low around Greenland. That means we have progressive patterns in place over the Atlantic. And over the Pacific, there's one disturbance around Alaska, another one in the Gulf of Alaska, and then we have our third disturbance moving through the central part of the country. We're dealing with a very progressive, fast-moving flow. And notice as these disturbances approach the United States and then move through the United States, they become weaker and weaker because the thermal gradient over the United States is weakening as well, which is typical for this time of year. So as these disturbances move through, they have a Pacific origin type air mass, so they tend to weaken rapidly and moderate. And by the time they reach the East Coast, they're really not much of a big deal for most of the East Coast. And you can see at 850 millibars, really the entire country is rather warm. We have one area, one cold pocket over the northern plains with that trough, but even that is clearly starting to weaken, and you can see it's starting to get cut off between the main area of cold air up in Canada. And meanwhile, much of the East Coast is anywhere around 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, which basically supports temperatures in the northern mid-Atlantic anywhere from the upper 60s to mid 70s, which again is above normal for this time of year by about 5 to 10 degrees. And of course, with high pressure in control, we can expect dry conditions. And of course, at the surface on Friday afternoon, notice high pressure is off the coast. We have a southwesterly flow sitting over the northern mid-Atlantic. That means it's going to be very warm, and our area low pressure over the Mississippi River Valley is going to be tracking up towards the St. Lawrence River Valley or eastern Canada, and that means we're going to remain warm into this weekend. There could be a few showers and thunderstorms next weekend that we'll have to keep an eye on, but really with a storm track of this nature, for the most part these cold fronts are going to be rather. Thank you for trusting NYNJPA Weather as your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have a wonderful weekend.